Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt, I am the American-Canadian Gamer, and welcome back to my Hearthstone 7 Deadly Sins series where I'm going to be playing a deck representing each of the 7 Deadly Sins. We've done Wrath, we've done Envy, and today we're going to be doing Greed. And Greed, I think I took a pretty legitimate approach to it. This is a Mill Rogue deck, and Mill Rogue is one of my favorite ways to play this game, and the reason I chose this for Greed is because it's selfish. It's like, I want to play, you're not going to get to keep anything on the board, I'm going to be the only one that gets to play right now. That is my reasoning behind Greed, because Greed could also be construed as, I just want as many cards as possible, and you run a lot of, basically hand lock, but there's another sin that really works really well with that kind of deck, and I think this works the best for Greed. So let's go ahead and go through this deck here, the things that fit this gimmick the most. Shadow Step, return a friendly minion to your hand, it costs 2 less. There are lots of minions that I have, like Cold Light Oracle, to put cards and other things into opponents' hands, and this lets me do it multiple times. Throw that thing out, bring it back, throw it out, bring it back, throw it out again, and I can just stuff an opponent's hand and then use that to my extreme advantage to be able to put big things out on the board. Like in a couple of my warm-up games, I was able to put a bunch of cards in a guy's hand early on and get out a Clockwork Giant really quickly. This deck is meant to just stuff your opponent's hand full of cards and then punish them for having them. So Shadow Step is a really good way to start that off early on and get some early pressure. Also, it just helps you kind of heal damaged minions by bringing them back and letting you replaying them. Next, we have Sap. This card, return an enemy minion to your opponent's hand. It's really good when they buff something up, they put a bunch of cards into it, it's like, oh, you just wasted all those. Now, granted, I don't want them to do that because that means that they used all those cards to do it, but at the same time, I'm putting things back in their hand and possibly destroying it if they already have a full hand, or I'm forcing them to use all their mana to get it back, or I give them a full hand and then the next card they draw, they have to discard. Next, we have Lore Walker Cho. This card can kind of backfire on you, but it does create some incredibly just awesome scenarios where just some crazy just junk happens, because enemies are casting spells which they give to you, and then you cast the spell back and put it back in their hand, basically, and yes, that may give them a fueled hand of spells, but you're also stuffing their hand and they're giving you weapons to use against them. Lord Walker Cho is not a good card, but he is a fun card, and I just wanted an excuse to have him in this deck, and that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Youthful Brewmaster fulfills the same role as Shadow Step. I just wanted more ways to access that self-bounce capability so I could replay minions that have battle cry effects. And this is another way to basically run Shadow Step and get a body out of it as well. It's 2 mana, and the thing does not cost less, so it's definitely worse than Shadow Step for at least the purpose I'm going to be using it for, but I am going to be using it, so it runs the same gamut as Shadow Step. Next, we have the aforementioned Cold Light Oracle Battlecry. Each player draws 2 cards. Good for me, and potentially bad for my opponent. I am drawing 2 cards that I can use against them, and I am putting cards in their hand to hopefully mill them out and keep them from doing anything. Granted, if they're playing a really aggressive deck where they're throwing down a bunch of, like a mech mage that throws down a bunch of mech warpers and then a bunch of low-cost mechs, yeah, this guy will probably get me killed, but at the same time, if I can pull him off alongside a couple Shadow Steps or a Youthful Brewmaster, I can stuff their hand full of cards and then use my other cards that take advantage of that. Next, we have Dancing Swords, a 4/4 for 3, just an all-around good minion. Death Rattle, your opponent draws a card, a 4/4 for 3, and I get to put a card in their hand. Really, I think an overlooked card for mill decks. A lot of people, I think, miss, actually, when they build mill decks, so Dancing Swords is in here. Next, we have Goblin Sapper. It has +4 attack while your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand. It's a 2/4 for 3, potentially a 6/4 for 3, which I usually have it in the 6/4 range because I keep the opponent's hand stuffed full of cards, and then they panic, just trying to get rid of cards to make this thing weak, and then I put more cards in their hand. This thing causes panic early game, and I love it for that. Next, we have King Mukla, a 5/5 for 3 that gives your opponent 2 bananas. They can use those bananas to buff up their minions, and that's okay because, well, I can just sap them back into their hand anyway, so I'm not too concerned about it. King Mukla, and he's also a 5/5 for 3. He's a really powerful body on the board. Combine him with, like, Shadow Step, and he does some even greater amounts of damage. Next, Mechanical Yeti. basically a Yeti, but I put a card in their hand. It's a 1-cost card, so, I mean, they're going to definitely be able to play it, and sometimes it can screw you if they get the freeze at the right time, or they can stealth it down an important minion. You know, it can backfire on you, but it is a way to give them another card. But you also get a spare part when it dies, so you can also run that luck and have that work to your advantage. Elite Tauren Chieftain. Battlecry. Give both players the power to rock with a power chord card. Now, this is, you know, along the same lines as I'm just putting a card in your hand. And if they have 10 cards in their hand, they just don't get the card at all. So this is another way for me to fill up their hand and take advantage of it. Next we have, Lotheb. Lotheb actually is part of the gimmick. Enemy spells cost 5 more the next turn. I can keep them from playing cards. That's an important thing. Like Lotheb combined with Lorewalker Cho, I can keep you from playing cards. That's a very important thing, and make sure your hand is full. So then maybe you play a minion, and that's all you play that turn, and I just sap it back to your hand the next turn anyways, and I have a 5/5 on the board. Next, we have 2 Vanishes, and these actually work out really good for me because they are great for shutting down very aggressive decks that put lots of things on the board. And if they put down a ton of minions, especially like token-based decks that make like, you know, Defias Ringleaders, the Murloc decks, anything that makes tokens, this is a really good deck against them. Paladins especially, because they have like the 3 mana, summon 3 Silverhand Recruits and give yourself a weapon. It's great for dealing with cards like that, and you can just empty out a board completely after doing potentially a bunch of damage with it. So, another really good card to have. I do run 2 of them because it has really helped me running 2 of them. Normally, I would say run 1, but I've come into enough situations where running 2 has helped me enough that it's been worth having. Next, we have 2 Kidnappers. Kidnapper is a combo with basically a sap. Return an enemy minion to its opponent's hand, and you get a 5/3 body on the board with the combo. So, it's okay. This is not really that good of a minion. I think its mana cost is just a little too high for what it does, but when you do get it out late game, you return, you know, Ragnaros or something bigger, it can be very helpful, and anything to keep cards in my opponent's hand. But if I do keep their hand full enough, I can actually use him as a destruction by returning a minion when they already have 10 cards in their hand, and boom, that thing's destroyed. Trade Prince Gallywix. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, gain a copy of that and give them the coin. So, here's what happens. If I have Trade Prince Gallywix and Lorewalker Cho on the board, when they cast a spell, they get a coin in their hand to replace it. I get 2 copies of it, I cast both of those, and I put 2 in their hand, and when they try to empty them, they just get a coin to replace it. I get 2, and I keep casting them back. With him and Lorewalker Cho out at the same time, I basically keep the opponent's hand full of coins, and they give me coins that I can use for combos and all sorts of fun stuff. It's a fun little thing to have happen when you get both him and Lorewalker Cho. Unfortunately, it usually does not last because he's kind of a magnet for things, but I still enjoy having him. And then finally, the coup de grace, we have the Clockwork Giant. Costs 1 less for each card in your opponent's hand. It's an 8/8 for 12. I've gotten this guy out on turn 3 and 4 before. This guy can get out very early, especially if you're playing a control deck that plays really slow. This guy can get out very early and can do a ton of damage. So this is definitely a good card to have if you're playing kind of a mill deck. Or at least a bounce deck, I should say. A deck to just bounce cards back to your opponent's hand and fill their hand up. So that's it for the gimmick. We have some other cards in here. We have 2 Shivs because, 1, they're good for setting up combos, and also I needed some card draw in this deck. With this and the Cold Light Oracle, I do have plenty of card draw so that I can at least keep some cards in my hand, deal 1 damage, draw a card. It's useful, and it can kind of help just kind of pick things off near the end of the game. And I think I have an Assassinate, destroy a minion if there's a big minion on the board that I need to get rid of and I don't really have a way to do it. Assassinate is just 1 more card in my deck that could potentially help me. I'd rather bounce the minion, but sometimes you just need to destroy it. And then finally we have Sludge Belcher, which is just there to slow things down. Keep them from really getting through me, because I did have 2 slots left in the deck. I was like, let's just put in a nice taunt, a nice mid-game taunt that can do a lot of work for me. Sludge Belcher's a very top-tier card for very good reason, so he is in that slot to round out this deck. So let's do what we always do. Let's hop into ranked play, and let's get crushed by everything we come across. Greed. Did that really say 16? I must do a lot of casual with Rogue. I must do a lot of casual. I need to change that. 16 wins and ranked as a rogue. You can tell I don't play rogue very much. I play like really gimmicky decks in casual most of the time I play Hearthstone. But for this video purpose, I'll play it in ranked for you, because then we get to go up against the meta decks, and then we get to crush the meta decks, hopefully. And that's the fun part. Now we're in the rank 20 range where, you know, people are still trying to climb ranks, and we might come across some people that are also just gold farming in this rank. So we have a Goblin Sapper, but we don't really have a way to take advantage of them yet because we don't have any ways to stuff their hand with cards. And I don't have any turn 1 plays. Like this right here is probably one of the better ones I can get early on. I can draw a card real early. I have no turn 1 capability in this deck. I always have 2 drops. So going second for me is really good. And we're playing Pork. I hope he's a slow warrior. Well, there goes a card in his hand. Are you going to play anything?
Put this apple on your head.
Knife Juggler. Okay. Alright, you're going to pass? You passed, you passed. Return a friendly minion to your hand. Costs 2 less. Oh, can't do much with it now, can I? So, I think I just kind of... Do I just kind of let him go for a little bit? I want to save the sap for something bigger, unfortunately. But at the same time, let's just go with the gimmick. Forget it. Forget playing smart. We're just going to play into the gimmick. And he's probably just going to re-summon the... He did coin for the Juggler, so he might just replay him this turn, which I would be okay with. He's probably going to replay the Juggler. He can't coin into anything else afterwards, or he might drop a couple 1-drops out, which would be also okay with me, because if it's a 1-drop, I can just drop it with Shiv. Okay. Alright, that was incredibly expected. Now. We got the other Shiv. Well, I might as well. Draw a card. Goblin Sapper. What's happening? So I'm going to take at least 4 damage this turn, potentially more. So, because he's going to hit me, and then he's going to summon at least 1 minion. At least 1 minion. You son of a gun! Not that, any minion but that would have been good. Any minion but that really would have been good for me. I can double hit it, I guess. That sucked. That sucked. He has 5 cards in hand. Let's put out a big minion, and let's give him something to deal with. Let's play this game. Let's let him go with this and just see what happens. He might just trade. He'd be smart to summon minions first and then trade. But I can throw out the Sludge Belcher next turn. So he's going to hit me for 3 now. That thing's going to get bigger and bigger. If he whirlwinds, it's going to be even bigger. But this is where having the Sludge Belcher comes in handy. I'm not drawing, like, any of my, like, Cold Light Oracles. I'm not drawing my cards that do special things for me right here. Not a thing. None of them are being drawn. At all. Is this where he... Whirlwind executes and runs through and... Or gives it +2 attack. Okay, I can Shiv it next turn. He has 6 cards. And then he hits it with that. I could just vanish. I think I'm just going to vanish. Yeah. What do I draw? Mukla. That'll give him 9, then he'll draw a 10th, and then he'll just play 2 of these again. So, what do I want to do? Let's do this. Draw that card. I can double banana him so he mills out next turn. He won't draw anything. I think we just kind of have to start doing that, don't we? Granted, it's going to give him some big buff minions, but I can vanish them. And there goes his elite. So he's probably going to buff this guy up or double buff that and trade and buff that up a couple of times. But he does have a full hand. He's going to throw out minions, buff them up, and then I can vanish them and slow him down just a little bit. Unfortunately, that's what I kind of have to... Huh. Not what I was expecting him to play. Not at all what I was expecting him to do. He at least drew a card out of it. And took 5, and then he's gonna spend 2 bananas on that. Really? I'm gonna destroy your fairy dragon. Your fairy dragon's gonna die. Are you gonna attack? There you go. I'm gonna lose this game really bad, by the way. I mean, unless... I mean, I kind of have to do that now. So Fairy Dragon gets destroyed. He's left with a War Axe. He lost his other Kor'kron Elite, that poor guy. If I can get these 2 guys out next turn, I'll be okay, I think. Because then I have 6 4s on the board. Is he going to, like super banana it? And just make it unstoppable? Because he's holding 4 bananas. That makes that 10 damage this turn. And it makes that thing a 7/5. Huh. Still not what I was expecting him to do, but he wins next turn now, though. Because I don't have any way to slow him down. And he's going to hold on to that, because he knows he has lethal next turn. No, he's going to swing. I would have probably held on to it. Oh, no, he wouldn't have had lethal, because that effect wore off. Yeah, that is, he has bananas. That's GG. Well, that game sucked. That game really sucked. I drew none of my good early cards. I didn't draw my Cold Light Oracle. I didn't draw... I could have used a second sap there. There's a lot of things I really could have used there. And it just didn't work out. I mean, I'm glad a guy was able to get rid of his 2 Kor'krons, but he had that Wolf Rider. He had the... You know, he was able to get out the... Whatchamacallit? The dwarf. I forget his name. The one dwarf that gives +2 attack. I forget what it's called. Don't ask me these things. So it just didn't work out in my favor. Jeez, Valera. It's usually not what you say, is it? I don't remember you ever being that angry. Hey, there we got Lore Walker Cho, and I'm going first again. I want to go second, so, well, because then they just burn coins out of their hand and stuff. And I got the Clockwork Giant, so maybe I can get him out early. I would love to see a Cold Light Oracle or... something, anything, but Lore Walker Cho can go out turn 2. Let the Cho man do the Cho thing. Greetings, friend. The pleasure will be mine. Very much so, as I launch a rocket into space. Then call things in on a teleporter. Alright, Cho. Go for it. Come on, give me things. And let's see, if you don't play anything this turn, let's just assume. Give me a coin. Give me that coin, baby. Give me that coin. Dat coin. What do you... Harvest Golem. Okay. So... Cold Light Oracle. And there's a sap and Lotheb. So that's down to 5. He's just going to kill my Oracle. I'm okay with that. But he's scared to use spells, I think. Are you going to try and kill my Cho? Tell me you're going to kill it. No, not my Oracle! You discovered my plans! You evil, evil person. So, 8 cards. Mukla. So now, you have 10, so no coin for you. And I get rid of your... Does it actually trigger the death rattle? Son of a bitch. It triggers the death rattle. Oh, there goes the backstab you could really use right now. Huh. Because I was wondering if it would die, because I've never destroyed a death rattle, a sticky minion like that, to... oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Never destroyed a sticky minion in that manner to where I could see if that actually worked. Are you gonna go for the... What are you doing? Thank you just for all the spells. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm just gonna stuff them back in your hand anyways with Lore Walker Cho. So, yeah. That's a thing that happened. Could I put out the 8/8s? I feel like Lotheb would be more evil right now. Let's see. That would reduce the cost. You have 8 cards in hand. Let's throw out... Let's throw the Sludge Belcher. So you can't kill Cho. And what I'll do is I'll throw Sinister Strike and Lotheb out. Maybe next turn. And keep his hand full. Okay. Okay. No, that's cool. That is very cool. So, first thing. Sinister Strike. So now you have 9 cards in hand. I could give you a 10th with that. So now you have 10 cards in hand. And we'll throw a giant on board. This is going a little better. Why do you have a Cobalt Geomancer in your deck? Are you like a spell power rogue that... What? I don't get it. Although right now Vanish isn't really helping me. And my plan of using Lotheb, although he could run things out. He could do things. He could use spells. I mean, if he has an Assassinate, then I'd be okay with it, because I'd be okay with triggering Thaddeus and just assassinating the Thaddeus. Or, like, I can Vanish the Thaddeus. I'm not scared of a Thaddeus at all. Not in. I mean, I have a Kidnapper as well. Thaddeus does not scare me. And if he actually gives me that 1-drop spell this turn, the next turn I'm going to kidnap his Fugan or any taunt he puts out. I'm sitting really pretty right now. You have 10 cards, and are you going to use all of your mana to, you know, do that? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when I come for you? Aw, thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad I can put that right back in your hand. Then you're gonna... Assassinate, really? You son of a gun. Well, at least you used it. So let's, how many cards? You have 8 cards in hand. I can destroy this. So why don't we... Yeah, you have 8. I can give you 9, then make him the 10th. Is what I can do. Well, first things first. We'll do that. We'll buff you up a little bit. We'll kidnap you. And now you're not going to be able to draw a card next turn. And there goes a Shiv. You might have liked having that this turn. So, yeah. And I can Youthful Brewmaster this... Yep, he's going to go right back in your hand, baby. Right back in your hand. Stop that! Gosh darn it! That was going to be my thing! You son of a gun! You son of a gun. Well, I think it's time for Lotheb, Eviscerate. You have 9 cards in hand. But now you can't cast... You can cast some of your spells. You really can. But, like, that Eviscerate's going to be 7 mana this turn. So you have to have a 1-drop card. Perdition's Blade. Alright. You can't Eviscerate, though. Okay. You can't Backstab now. You can break through that taunt. You can do that. Son of a gun. Well, let's see here. We can vanish, which he would lose both of those. Vanish is 6. That leaves me with 3. That leaves me with nothing to put on the board. So I think we belch the sludge, and we throw out you. I think we stay on the pressure, make him try to fight through my guys, and then vanish. If he gets rid of Cho there, he still has 10 cards in hand. That's a lot. And if he puts out like a big rag or something, I can still just vanish it back to his hand. And if he doesn't put out a taunt, I will hit him in the face before all of that. And he gave me a backstab to boot. Oh, wow, yeah, spell damage boosted. That was a nice little play. He's going to try and clear out my board this turn. And use all of his... He's okay with doing that now, though. Wow, he did a lot there, didn't he? Still has 9 cards in hand. Although now I can vanish and throw a Yeti. So, yeah, 8. Yeah, you're going to lose your Drake, buddy. Sorry to break it to you. Then I can also put out a Yeti, so... He is really pushing the counterattack, isn't he? Stop playing cards! Oh my goodness, stop it! Ah! My whole strategy was just ruined by that. Whatever. I have like backstab here and everything else there, and he can't. I mean, he's got 10 cards in hand. I'm surprised he was able to draw. So there's the Swamp Ooze again. We were expecting to see that. Dagger. All right, that's not good to see. Is he gonna hit me and then Blade Flurry? Oh wow. Is he gonna hit and he can't hit and then Blade Flurry, can he? I mean, that's just a backstab target. So, we'll just backstab that. Eviscerate! And poke the face! That was... I didn't even see the way for me to win until the game ended. Oh, we got a victory under our belt. That's game 2. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. Let's make this a 3-fer. Or, well, no, not a 3-fer, but let's play a third round. Let's win this one. Let's win this one for the Cold Light Oracle. Why him? I have no freaking idea. He's just what came into my mind. Cherry Pepsi. I love any kind of cherry pop, by the way. Any kind of cherry pop. Wild cherry Pepsi, cherry Coke, anything cherry is just delicious. Ooh, if he's the, like, kind of envy priest that keeps taking things from me, this is going to be fun. He is not going to like taking cards from me because it's going to fill his hand up. Those are 2 good early drops that I think I'll hang on to. And Lore Walker Cho! Look at that. He can destroy it and give me a way to destroy one of his guys. And I'm going first again. I just want to point... I have gone first every game. Like, going second is just such a huge benefit, because now he's going to go Northshire Cleric, Coin, Power Word, Shield. And if not, I have no clue what this guy's doing. So, Jade Serpent guide you. Anduin, let the Jade Serpent take your hearts and carry you to places you've never been before. And then I'm going to fill your hand with bananas. Let's fill your hand with bananas. You like bananas, don't you? All those bananas. Delicious, potassium-filled bananas. Shadow Word Death on my Mukla is coming soon. Oh, I got a coin, and I'll give him the coin back if he doesn't destroy this. I'll give him the coin back, and I'll pop that guy back into his hand, and he'll have 10 cards. So, oh, I don't have to coin, though, do I? I can just sap. But do I want to? Indeed. Yeah, I do. Coin, sap, Mukla to the face. I don't care that he has the sap. Like, he now has 10 cards in hand. He can pop one of my guys back. Oh, loses the 6-drop Temple Enforcer. He can start popping my guys back if he so wishes, but I can just keep... I get the spell back. I can keep doing the same thing to him. If he bounces, you know, anything of this here bouncing, he'd be smart to bounce the Dancing Swords among everything, though. He's going to sap the Mukla? Why would you sap the one card that can stuff you full of things? And yes, I know, that was supposed to sound dirty. Now you have a handful of, like, nothingness. What were you just thinking? I think Lotheb's a good play here. Because now he has a handful of bananas he can't play. And other things that he probably can't play. Okay, yeah, that's a thing he can play. But now I'm going to just start stuffing his hand with stuff, so, I could deal 1 damage and draw a card. Which I think I'm going to do. Oh, I could have Mookla'd. Oh, Mukla would have been good there. Oh, well, let's destroy the Berserker with a sap. And then we'll just poke the face. I mean, a big poke. But it was a poke nonetheless. And then Mookla's gonna come out, and then, oh, just beautiful things are happening right now. I love this deck. This is such a fun deck. I am the only one that gets to play. You don't get to play at all. I am being very, very great. I'm holding another sap, too. Put out a big minion. Do something. Do it. I triple double dog dare you. I mean, not a ton. Thank you for the coin. That really does help me a lot here. What is he dropping for 7? Why would you take Cho? Like, I don't see the logic. At all. I mean, yeah, I guess that's the only thing you could take? Okay. Thank you. Huh? 7, 8, 9. Let's see here. I can coin. That'll give me 5 mana. So then I can... You have 9 in hand. I have 9, 10 damage. Do I have a way to deal 2 more? No, I don't.
What's happening?
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to trade that, which now forces him to draw a card that he can't have.
Here we go.
So let's see what he does. He just burnt both clerics. That's funny. Like, not that they were going to help him. Out of anything he could have burnt here, that was probably the best. But, I mean, he needs to heal himself up or something. Like, even a heal now won't help him. Like, he needs to do something. A big taunt won't work. He needs to empty out at least 4 cards from his hand in order to nullify the Goblin Sapper. I have Inner Fire that I cannot use at all. I have 2 Mechanical Yetis. I mean, I'm basically out of tricks at this point, but it didn't matter at all. Ladies and gentlemen, that is me just being greedy and just playing all by myself, and oh, I'm very happy right now. I am very, very attracted to myself at the moment, so I think it's time for me to end this video, because I am just having way too much fun, and I could probably just play this deck forever. This is such a fun deck. I really suggest all of you trying it at least once, and I am going to go probably make another deck and just play around, or probably just go play more of this. I'm probably just going to go play with Greed a bit more, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely a deck I suggest all of you try out. That first game kind of sucked, but the last 2 went very well in my favor. It sucks you didn't really get to see much Clockwork Giant action, because he is an impressive card if you get him out early, but like that just happens. That just happens. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. My name is Matt, and I'll see you next time.